Unlike most people, apparently, because there's a big fucking fit on the internet, um, I didn't have a problem with it because it was, like, fucking woke, which is such a stupid term. I've made fun of it in the past, I think. But, anyways, this movie had a lot of positives and negatives to me. Like, at times I think it handled sexism really well, other times it didn't. I wasn't a fan of the fact that they never had I'm a Barbie girl in the movie. It might have had it in the credits, but my friend that I went with isn't very patient, so we left as soon as the movie was over. Walking out of the theater as soon as it ended. And we were like right by the exit because that's where that movie was playing, was like right by the exit door. Which usually is not where I watch my movies. But that's where Barbie played. Anyways, I mean, it had its moments. It was really funny. I don't think there was a joke that was unfunny. There might have been jokes I didn't laugh at, but I don't think there was any unfunny jokes. Um, I didn't like the fact that they just kind of. I did like it, but I also didn't like it, and that was the fact that the real world didn't really feel that realistic. Like, why is it the real world if it's like they do handle most of the real world correctly. But the fact that they know that Barbies exist and stuff was kind of weird, and they just kind of accept it. Nobody acts like she's crazy or anything. I don't. It's kind of overplayed and gets cliche and boring, and it usually leads to dialogue you feel like you've seen before, but, you know, it's not the worst thing. I also felt like they handled sexism really well at points, and other points they failed. They just flopped. Like they had like three different people directing it or something. Greta Gerwig, a woman, directed it, but it feels like other people could have been writing other parts of the movie, unless she's just dropping the ball at random points of the movie. Like, Ken has this whole song about how he's not good enough, and it's kind of about the friend zone, which I always thought was kind of a bullshit take. You don't become friends with a woman expecting to eventually date her. That's called being an entitled prick. Anyways. So he has like this song about how he loves her or some shit, which I also don't get what they were going for with Barbie's and Ken's relationship. They say they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but like, there's two or three times in the movie where she refuses kisses from him. Which is perfectly fine to refuse kisses from your partners. That's not a bad thing. Like, you don't always have to kiss someone you're dating, but she never kisses him in the movie. It's always avoided. Like, it's a one-sided relationship. Like, the typical thing you would see in, I don't know, a comedy movie where the guy likes the girl, but the girl's clueless, and they're not dating. But they are dating in this movie, so that was kind of weird. They also kind of do a subtle thing about sexual assault, but I don't think they handled it really well because they should have talked about it more. Because they end up leaving kind of a negative message since they didn't explore it well enough. Barbie wears an outfit and she gets her ass smacked, so she beats the dude up and she goes to prison, which is unfortunately something that does happen to a lot of sexual assault victims. Is they defend themselves and they go to prison. It's fucking bullshit. It's the same thing in abuse situations. Well, anyway, she changes her outfit, which is something that a lot of people tell women victims, is that, well, you shouldn't have dressed slutty and you wouldn't have been sexually assaulted. Basically defending the man. Well, that happens in this movie. She changes her outfit and then now she's fine. And then that's it. There's like nothing. Like, if you gotta actually look into it to, realize the message. So it could just leave people that don't really understand it or aren't trying to understand it with a negative connotation, in my opinion, with the fact that, hey, you got to change your outfit or you're going to get sexually assaulted, since they don't really do anything with it. But maybe I'm just overthinking it. It also ends like in the most bullshit way. I was loving the movie, and then the movie ends with Barbie apologizing to Ken. Well, that's obviously not the ending. There's still like 6 more minutes, I think. Maybe 4. Like, there's like 2 whole other scenes where she talks to the old woman who is the creator of Barbie named Ruth. And there's the ending scene where she goes to the real world. But that is like really close to the ending. And she apologizes to Ken when she did absolutely nothing wrong. Which I guess is something that does happen a lot in real life. But it's a very unsatisfying ending, especially since it happened in Barbie world, which isn't the real world. She apologizes for not giving him enough attention and taking him for granted and blah blah blah, and then she goes to the real world and leaves him behind anyway. So I kind of feels weird. Like, why are you apologizing for not giving him enough attention and then you're going to the real world? And she's by herself. She's not with him. So what was the point of that whole apology? She did not need to apologize to him. That is like the main thing that really pissed me off about this movie. I also have another thing that I didn't realize was kind of bad until I watched a review on it of one of the YouTubers I watched, Grayson's Projects, I think is her name. And she talked about the fact that one lady like wears a skimpy outfit, and then when she becomes smart again, she's wearing a nerdy outfit, which is definitely kind of stupid. I also saw some backlash on TikTok about something I saw in the movie. I didn't realize what joke they were going for. It kind of flew over my head, but they kind of make fun of how Native Americans died because they weren't ready for diseases, which is kind of a weird thing to joke about. It's not the worst thing a movie's ever joked about, but it's also kind of a shitty thing to do. What else? Will Ferrell does a decent job, though he's obviously not the main portion of this movie. A lot of people have compared him to his character from Lego Movie, but I haven't seen that movie in years. Some people have compared this movie to Black Panther. Others because they're right-wingers, others because it kinda has a similar plot. But you can do that with any movie if you break it down simply and don't pay attention to anything else. It was really good, in my opinion, but like I said, it was very flawed at times. They do talk about death and aging in a positive way, which should help the older audiences because, let's face it, obviously a lot of older people are going to be watching Barbie. Barbie is still super popular. I'm not saying it's not. But a lot of kids nowadays do play with tablets and phones and PlayStations and Xboxes and whatnot more than they would go to a store and get a Barbie doll. So them going for a bit of an older audience was the smarter decision, but still not making it rated R because there are children that are going to want to watch this. So it was a very smart decision. Another thing I didn't get about right-wingers making fun of Barbie, how it's being woke like it's something fucking new. Because years ago, I remember I think it was maybe 2016, they released a Barbie in a wheelchair, which is in this movie, that pissed off a lot of conservatives. And Barbie has always had its controversies. back in like the 90s, they had a doll that was too gay, so it got discontinued. You know, it's always been a company that has tried to be more accepting than a lot of companies do. So, them being surprised that Barbie is, now ruining its representation and children can never watch Barbie again is fucking stupid. I really enjoyed the movie. Margot Robbie did a good job. Ryan Gosling did a fine job, but this is a movie about sexism, so I don't want to compliment him too much. A lot of the other Barbies did a good job, which that was another criticism for some fucking reason by a lot of right wingers, is that the names weren't creative enough when they're fucking kids' toys. They're like, oh, well, they just threw a word in front of the name, like Lawyer Barbie and stuff. It's a fucking kid's toy. Even though it may not be a full-on kids movie because it's PG-13, it's a kid's toy, you idiot. It's not gonna be creative. Don't be fucking stupid. Are you going to the store and complaining that it's called Lawyer Barbie? Were you doing that years ago before this movie came out? No. Quit whining about ridiculous shit. The one dude that's in Shang-Chi was also here, who plays Shang-Chi. I did look into his controversies a while ago. I think I talked about it in a video in the past where he compared like gay people to pedophiles and about how it's like not a choice. I thought he was doing the typical groomer narrative where a lot of people say that gay people are groomers and pedophiles. So I never watched his movie. I might watch his movie now that I know what he was actually talking about. But I've never been the biggest Marvel fan. So it's not something I'll, rush to watch. But I might watch it now. He did decent in this movie too. There was also another Ken doll guy in here that is played by some dude that was in a newer movie based off a board game. Don't know his name. Michael Cera plays Alan, which a lot of people liked him. I thought he was fine. He really didn't do much in the movie. Never really caught my eye. But I didn't really have a problem with him. John Cena shows up. He has like one line, but he does have like two scenes. In the second scene, he doesn't really talk. They also make fun of mansplaining, which I thought was funny. Though I do want to say that mansplaining isn't always mansplaining. Like, yeah, there's clearly douchebag guys that think they need to explain things to women. And then there's people with autism or have never really learned to socialize that also, tend to talk too much, which may seem like mansplaining. I know that may not be what the movie's going for, but I've had that opinion and I just wanted to share it. But that was probably my favorite thing in the movie, when one of the ways they distract the guys is they say, I've never seen The Godfather, so then one of the Barbies goes to watch The Godfather and he starts explaining the entire movie. That was probably the funniest joke in the movie. It was a really good movie. It's not something I would watch again just because of the fact that I think they ended up failing the whole fucking apology thing. Though once again, it could just be a metaphor that I didn't really understand because I kind of missed the point sometimes. But I do think it was a really good movie.